This is Ken Hovind in Pensacola, Florida, talking to you live here on truthradio.com, radio broadcast. It's going to be with you. Today's date is December 17th. I'm very thrilled if you're listening on the 17th. It is live. If you it's not the 17th, then if you're listening live, but the program isn't that much. Today could be a little time in just a few minutes. I just got a couple of phone calls he's making. You know, we're doing that program. We're thinking that the Bible is literally true and scientifically accurate. And the evolution theory is one of the dumbest and most dangerous ideas in the history of the world. It didn't happen, okay? What a dumb idea. We all came from a rock 4.6 billion years ago. Hey, that's what they believe. Okay, I respect their right to believe that. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's, they're going to be real, they're going to feel real dumb for all of eternity, you know, if they're getting fooled for something like that. But hey, that's okay. You can believe what you want. But I don't mind if they believe that. I do resent, though, them using my tax dollars to pay for that religion to be taught in the textbooks. Now that we do resent. Let me share a few testimonies and give a few announcements here. Then we'll get started here, get some of the housekeeping done. The Creation Seminar Conference, we have a Southeast Creation Seminar coming up this September 17, 18, 19. You ought to come to that. Pensacola, Florida. It's our first ever and hopefully first annual Southeast Creation Conference. We're going to have Dr. Carl Baugh come, my good friend from Glen Rose, Texas, who's on TBN every week with his program Creation in the 21st Century, and lives right in Glen Rose, Texas, where the footprints are found. Been doing research for a long time on the creation evolution topic. We're also going to have Jack Cavazzo come, who is an expert on the Neanderthals and the hopes about the Neanderthals being the missing link. And we'll have Dennis Swift, one of the world's experts on the ecostones, and talk about and prove dinosaurs and humans together on the same stone. So if you want to join us for the conference, you can call into our office here in Pensacola. It's 850-479-DINO, 850-479-3466. And you can get on the program today. Should be phone lines and everything else working. Lord willing, it'll all work fine. Had a little trouble the last couple times, but call in and be on the program. Or go to our website, drdino.com, drdino.com, where we will... you can go to the Creation Science Hour link on the front page and get to us that way. Let me read a few testimonies that Rita, my secretary, who does nothing but email all day long, and still can't keep up sometimes. So if you email us, I apologize, folks. It's a blizzard here of email. So we do get to it eventually. Just hang in there. It's much quicker to call. We need us to just call on the phone. We take phone calls all day long, too. Here's a testimony from Tim Watts, who writes in. I just want to say thank you for your ministry. Your scientific knowledge is astounding. My dad has been making a lot of tapes, and people are now seeing the light of the world, that is. The church I attend, First Baptist Orange City, Florida, has a targeted discipleship ministry going, and I'm trying to get your videos shown, because too many Christians believe God created us through evolution, and that's wrong. It discredits all we believe. I agree, Tim. I agree. He said, I want to thank you, and I'll keep praying for you, everyone involved in the ministry. With love, Tim Watts. Okay. Here's Morgan, F-O-A-R-D, Ford. I guess you pronounce that. Let me turn Eric's speaker down here. I still hear him coming across. Eric, Morgan Ford writes in, hello, Dr. Hovind. My name is Morgan. I recently attended a private Bible study with my girlfriend where they're showing your videotapes, your tape series. I've had many problems fitting into any religion because nobody ever seems to have my answers. When I watched your tapes, they answered more than I thought possible, but there is still so many questions left to ask. I just want to thank you and possibly get more information about your studies, your seminar, and so forth. Maybe I can learn more than I thought I could. Much of what you say could help the world's understanding if it was mainstream information. Maybe sometime I can attend your seminar and learn more about dinosaurs and lies in the textbook. Please send me information about your studies. We did that. Send them a catalog. By the way, you can get one of those free of charge, or go to the website, drdino.com, where we've got a ton of information on there. It says, I would be greatly appreciative. One more thing. I heard a news story about earthquakes were found in a small canyon, in the Grand Canyon, in small amounts. And they believe that maybe being an earthquake fault was one of the factors of the canyon's creation. Just thought any information was helpful. Interesting, Morgan. Thank you. There's no question the Colorado River did not form the Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon, the top of Grand Canyon is higher than both ends. Okay, the rivers don't flow uphill. No river flows uphill. So the Grand Canyon had to be is a washed-out spillway at minimum, and possibly a fault from an earthquake. I've heard that for years. It's been tossed around. Here's one from Mark Roman, who writes, Dr. Hovind, just a letter thanking you for the great information your ministry provides. I'm a Navy medical officer, currently deployed in Africa for 6 months. I will return to my home and base in Jacksonville, Florida sometime in March. I, too, have the desire to teach creation science as a ministry. I've been studying and researching for the past 3 years. Hopefully I can start soon. I was retiring from the Navy in 18 months. I was teaching creation in a home Bible study group and I was leading before I was deployed to Africa. I attend the Vineyard Christian Fellowship in Jacksonville. I have your entire teaching and debate series on DVD with me here in Africa, and I study them daily. Thank God for laptops. Amen. I agree. Mark, be lost without mine. Let's see. Along with the great Creation Science Ministries resources on the Internet, I look forward to seeing you in April in Jacksonville at Trinity Baptist College. Keep up the good work. Sincerely, Mark. Well, thank you, Mark. Appreciate that. We get thousands and thousands of testimonies. Folks, our ministry exists to strengthen your faith in the Word of God. If you're a believer, we want to help strengthen that faith. Number 2, if you're not saved, we want to get you saved. That's why we're doing this. Number 3, if you're saved and you're not doing much for the Lord, then we want to make you uncomfortable. That's the goal we have in mind. Okay, let me go to some of the anti-Hovind websites. We've been trying to answer some of the critics out there. It's been years. I just basically have ignored them. I got too much to do. But we thought we'd take a week or so and go through some of them. Then if we get time, we have the radio questions folder that keeps getting thicker and thicker. People send in radio questions. If you have an AOL Instant Message you want to send us, you can do that. Go to our website or go to, I got it right in front of me, Jonathan. Let's see, Dr. Dino Live. Screen name, Dr. Dino Live. Okay. And you can get to us there. They give me all these cue notes right under the camera. No, that's not it. Oh, the 2003 seminars are online. A little grainy, but they're there. And we're fixing that? Putting less grainy? Okay. We're downgrading them. Okay. Whatever you call that. Good. Here we have, I've been answering a couple of the anti-Hovind websites. And if you type in Kent Hovind, you'll find, oh, man, there are a lot of anti-Hovind websites here. This is one that comes up a lot. I've got several things in my hand here to try to answer here. About here's 2001 by Dave Thomas. Is Dave Thomas the one with the New Mexicans? New Mexicans for Science and Reason. He's the one that they're claiming I refuse to debate, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, okay, that's on this other one. Dr. Hovind refuses to debate. Here it is. Well, I'll start with this one. This is critics. What's this one from, Jonathan? You got all these printed off of these on one page. These are from just a variety of websites, common. Okay. Does Dr. Hovind have a PhD? Here's a question. Well, I would answer that the last broadcast. Yes, I do. Doctorate in philosophy, and got it from Patriot University. They no longer offer a PhD, and they only have 3 graduates a year in the PhD program when they had it. Of course, many programs only have 1 graduate a year, 1 graduate a decade in a doctorate program. It's not a big deal. And it's from a non-accredited school. So Jonathan searched non-accredited colleges and universities. Where'd you find this on the Internet, Jonathan? What? Michigan.gov. Michigan.gov has a list. There's over 50 to a page, so there's about 600 universities and colleges on this list that are unaccredited. Accredited simply means somebody recognizes you for whatever reason. And obviously, you can take a look at the people I've debated on debates on evolution. Just because you get a degree from an accredited school still doesn't mean you know anything. Obviously, anybody who believes they came from a rock certainly needs some help. So here's a Michigan.gov, about 600 universities, colleges around the country that are not accredited. Patriot University. Are they on the list, Jonathan? Did you find them?
No, it's not.
This is just some of them. Okay. There are hundreds and hundreds of non-accredited schools. So, yes, I agree. I've always said, Patriot's not accredited. If that bothers you, don't call me doctor, call me Bubba, call me Kent, call me Hey You, and let's get back to the topic of creation evolution. But I worked pretty hard for my degree. I worked 9 years on it, and we can do that. Put that on there, John. Okay, here's next article. Dr. Hovind refuses to debate the New Mexicans for Science and Reason. NMSR.org. And that quote from Dave Thomas, who has another one here. Dave Thomas. We'll get to that in a second. Well-known creation scientist Kent Hovind touts his unsatisfied $250,000 challenge to anyone who can prove evolution as evidence for creationism. Dave, you got it wrong already. I don't offer evidence for those who can prove evolution as evidence for creationism. That's not what the offer says. You need to read that again. Anyway, the challenge is rigged, of course. For example, since the Big Bang is part of evolution, Hovind argues you'll have to produce an actual Big Bang to get the award. Hovind also tours the country preaching creationism to large crowd. Let me stop right here and say, Dave, you need to change this. It's creation, okay? The ism, the ISM, goes on evolution. It's evolutionism, not creationism. And many people, creationists even fall for this. They allow the evolutionists to say it's evolution versus creationism. There you go, Eric. Thanks for joining us. Unplugged your line because your speaker was still on. I didn't know how to shut the thing off. So,
it's smarter than the computer.
Well, I hit all the down buttons on there, and it didn't do it. And it was busy since it was on the air. It was making noise. So you figure out what to do with that up there, okay? After you shut the sound off. Okay. So Dave writes and says it's creationism. And Dave, you got that wrong. It's creation, and it's evolutionism. Like communism, Marxism, socialism, Nazism, evolutionism. You know, all kind of fit in the same category here. Put the ism on the evolution. You do that when you speak, Eric? Can do that? That's fine, isn't it? Evolutionism. Okay. Hovind argues you have to produce an actual Big Bang to get the award. Let's see. Hovind is constantly challenging evolutionists to debate at these evangelism sessions. Kent Hovind has been challenged to a real debate, capital R-E-A-L, a scientific debate in the pages of this newsletter on the World Wide Web. Well, Dave, I don't know that your newsletter is a real scientific forum, or this would be a real scientific debate. But I'll tell you what, just for you, Dave, I will fly to New Mexico at my expense. It won't cost you a dime. I'll even pay you $200 if you'll debate me in front of any university in New Mexico. You just let me know when and where, and I'll make a hole in the schedule, and we'll find a way to get there if possible. It has to be midweek, probably, because my weekends are booked for about the next 4 billion years. But come as quick as I can. So, Dave, I don't have time for an email debate and nor interest in, but I'm open, always have been open for any debate on the creation evolution topic in front of any university where it can help the students. So I've not refused to debate. I've consistently refused to debate an email debate, but if open, public challenge, never have I refused one of those that I know of on the creation evolution topic. If somebody wants to debate me on, the merits of underwater basket weaving, I wouldn't debate on that because I don't know how to do that. All right. So this is not correct, Dave. I take this page down about the refusing to debate. You're misleading people here at best. And then Dave also has the is this from Dave also, the anti-evolution? Yeah, I think it all is. It's not. This is on the same thing about it. He writes, the best and worst of 2001. It's okay, Dave, go ahead. It's okay. You're listening to the program 25 seconds later. This is going to confuse your little brain. No, I'm good. Okay. Because there's a delay going through all the electronics, and you're getting it 20 seconds later. And then by the time it actually registers in the brain, it may be... Never mind. Never mind. He says, Dave Thomas writes, now that's credibility award goes to Arkansas State Representative Jim Holt, who sponsored House Bill 2548, an obvious attempt to get creationism back into schools. Okay. Is that what it was? It was definitely not that. Not at all. Here is the bill, word for word. I helped Jim Holt write this bill. Jim Holt sent it to me, actually, and had me go through it, helped him do a few things, add a few things, delete a few things. There is no mention that I can recall of creation in the bill. This is not a bill to get creation into the schools. Let me read it to you, Dave, since apparently you didn't get a chance to read this. And, this is the bill, okay? HB 2548 from, what's the date here? Regular session of 2001. It doesn't have an actual date on it. Anyway. It says, by representatives, and it lists a whole bunch of names here who are sponsoring the bill. For an act to be entitled, an act to prohibit state agencies and other public entities from using tax dollars to purchase or distribute material that they know or should have known contains or presents as factual information which has been proven false or fraudulent. And for other purposes, subtitle, an act to prohibit state agencies and other public entities from using tax dollars to purchase or distribute material that they know or should have known contains or presents as factual information which has been proven false or fraudulent. Sounds like a good thing to me. This is a bill to say you can't use tax dollars to buy materials that are going to teach things that have been proven wrong. The bill never mentions creation. It never mentions evolution. This is not an anti-evolution bill. This is not a bill to get creation into the schools. I don't know how you can miss that, Dave, okay, but it's only like 3 pages, okay? Read it. If you can't handle it, call me. I'll read the whole thing to you. It doesn't mention creation. It doesn't mention evolution. So, you're misinformed at best, or you're lying at worst, okay? This is not an attempt to get creation into schools, as he says. Is this off his website? Yeah, okay. Holt obtained the testimony of Kent Hovind in hearings on the bill. Many of the HB 2548's statements about fraud in science textbooks can be directly traced to the religious tract Big Daddy produced by Jack Chick Tracts. That's right, a comic book. A columnist, Don Michael of Northwest Arkansas Times, wrote, "If it isn't troubling to know your representatives voted for a bill that used a comic strip as its source, try visiting Hovind's website." Okay, the fact that a columnist writes something, any columnist can write anything. I mean, take a look at any newspaper. You see this all the time, you know. And this is, you're either, again, you're misinformed or you're deliberately lying, okay? The fact that Jack Chick wrote a comic book about the fraud and lies in the textbooks does not mean that the bill got the facts from the comic book. The fact is, the things mentioned in this bill are lies. They are used in textbooks. Have textbooks all around me.
If things mentioned are true, there are facts.
It's a fact that there are lies in the textbooks. Right. And the bill was simply to get the lies out of the textbooks. Don't lie to the kids. Like, don't teach them that, like this, all the language that they've got from all this whereas and everything else. Let's get a section on carbon dating, okay? Don't teach the theory that fossils represent missing links between life forms. It cannot be proven that the fossils had any offspring. That's true. Yeah. It is incorrect to have a textbook say, this fossil proves that it's a missing link or an intermediate between one kind and another, because you don't know that that fossil represents an animal that had any kids. All you know is it died. Okay, it left its bones behind. It's got a section on potassium-argon dating, rubidium-strontium dating, of the different so-called cavemen that have all been proven false. Haeckel's embryos, proven false in 1874 by Professor William Hiss. Ernst Haeckel was convicted of fraud for this in 1874. Human embryos never have gills, not even rudimentary gill slits. Take the gill slits out of the book. So Jack Chick wrote a comic book called Big Daddy, and then later he asked me if I would update it. The comic's been out for years. No, this is incorrect. It's either totally misinformed or deliberately lying, Dave, to say that the information comes from a comic book. The comic book contains some of the same information because they're both right. The bill is right. The comic book is right. I'm right. In my seminar, there are things that are used to support evolution that are wrong. We'll talk about this after the break. All right, folks, welcome back to the Creation Science Hour. We are getting the A.L. Williston messages, and we'll take a few of those, but we want to stay on the Hovind websites as long as we can here. Try to straighten out some of these guys that either can't read or can't think, and we'll help them.
From My Savior, 1980. He's wondering about getting in touch with George Norrie, the guy who took over Coast to Coast Art Bell show.
Yes.
It's on very late, I believe at night, is that right?
Really?
Middle of the night.
Middle of the night.
Evidently, he's looking for people to be on the show, and he wants, if people email producer at coasttocoastam.com, then there's a possibility we can get on the air again. That'd be wonderful.
I've been on there twice. I'd love to go on again. Producer at what?
Producer at coasttocoastam.com.
Coasttocoastam.com. Used to be the Art Bell Show. I think it still is Art Bell Show, but anyway. Art has retired, and George Norrie, telling me he'd like to have here Kent Hovind on there. I've been on twice. It's on from like midnight to 4 in the morning. It's crazy. Remember the first time? You were in high school.
Oh, yeah. Woke us up in the middle of the night, said, hey, Eric, get out of here. I just gave out the phone numbers, and all the phone lines lit up.
I talked from 1 till 3 in the morning, and I thought, I do a lot of radio programs, and I thought, nobody's listening to this, you know. Finally, Art Bell said, would you like to give out your phone number so people can get your catalog? I said, sure. So I gave out the phone number, and I'm sitting there in the office, and it is 3 in the morning. We got like 6 lines, and all of them lit up. There's nobody to answer. So we went to a break or something. I went and woke up my wife, my daughter, and Eric, and other son, and said, get out here and answer the phone. And the phone rang incessantly for almost 3 weeks.
Yeah, that was unreal.
As soon as I hung it up, bang, rang again, you know.
So if you'd like to put us through that again, send an email, producer at coasttocoastam.com. Tell them to have Kent Hovind on there, and we'll be happy to do that. AOL is the message from how in the world, I don't know what in the world the screening is, but you're wondering about rumors of Darwin becoming a Christian on his deathbed. That has not been confirmed. We've heard that as well. But there is absolutely no confirmation of that. We don't think you can know that. Some people say, don't teach that. You can't say that for sure. To be honest, we don't know the truth, do we?
Well, you died before I was born, quite a while.
Me too.
Matter of fact, before anybody alive today was born. So
we don't know.
apparently, his wife or somebody made up the rumor about him repenting, but I don't think there's any way to chase that one down for sure now. I don't use the story.
Christian in Iowa, thank you for writing in. He's wondering if the seminars that are going to be appearing on Sky Angel are going to be newer than the ones that he's already got on DVD. His are 2 years old.
Oh, yes. We've redone the whole series this year. Derek, you've been working on the DVDs. They're all redone. New 2003 edition. Online.
Yeah,
the grainy ones.
Online.
The grainy ones.
Oh, the grainy ones.
Oh, they're a little grainy, yeah. But you can hear it.
No, they're great. It does a great job of showing.
So they're going to degraininate them or whatever they do to make them a little better resolution. But then we got to have a T1 line. We got to get a T1 line stretcher or something, don't we, to make it bigger? Just wax it. Just wax it so it goes. Yeah, we're not going to get a T3 line. You know what we pay for that T1?
No, OC3.
Is that
OC3?
OC3? Is that as big as you can get?
New York? We don't want. And it costs more?
I would imagine that would cost.
We don't have one. We don't want one. Okay, so Dave, you're saying that I got the information for House Bill 2548 from a comic book. This is incorrect, okay? Now, the bill was defeated, he says. Let me explain why. I went and testified before the Arkansas House Representatives Committee that was considering this bill. There were 20 representatives. I spoke for 45 minutes. I went through point by point everything in the bill, and I said, folks, this is correct. Mr. Holt is right when he wrote this bill that the following items are fraudulent. And so we went through point by point. When I got all done, a woman from the ACLU.
Definitely not a lady.
ACLU is the American Communist Lawyers Union. She got up and said, this is obviously an anti-evolution bill, which is what somebody else called it on here. Here we go, right here. The anti-evolution bill.
There it is.
Dave, or whoever, anybody, there's probably 10 websites, the anti-Hovind sites that have this in there, right?
So they all do?
They probably all do. The evolution is not mentioned in this bill. This is not an anti-evolution bill. Matter of fact, the bill itself, Jonathan, you just printed this off of an atheist website, didn't you? You remember where that was? It doesn't come out on here. Atheistsomething.org or anyway, you can call Jonathan if you don't believe me, but you can get the actual bill as it was voted on. Here's what happened. Evolution's not mentioned, creation's not mentioned. So quit calling it an anti-evolution bill. It was a bill to require accuracy in textbooks. Don't lie to the kids. I testified for 45 minutes and said this bill is correct. There are lies in the textbooks that ought to be banned. And this woman from the ACLU got up and said, this is an anti-evolution bill. One of the representatives said, ma'am, evolution is not mentioned in this bill. And she said, everything you have in here listed is used as evidence for evolution. And the representative said, well, ma'am, is it true that these things are proven false? And she got kind of fidgety, and she said, well, yes, but this is an anti-evolution bill. He said, ma'am, if the stuff is proven false, take it out of the book. Why would we want to pay for lies in the textbook? SkepticFriends.org, you can print out the bill. And the folks at SkepticFriends.org ought to wise up. Read the bill yourself. It's not an anti-evolution bill. It's an anti-lie bill. Okay? Don't lie to the kids. And if you're still supporting a lie to support your theory, wise up. You've been fooled. Okay? The Bible says the Satan is the father of lies. And he's laughing at you for believing him. Anyway, after the ACLU got done testifying for struggling through their testimony for like 15 minutes, they went out and got several other ACLU lawyers, and they went around, and for the next 3 days before the bill came for a vote, they lobbied those congressmen so hard, 12 of them were scared to vote. They knew the bill was right, they knew it was the right thing to do, but they were scared to vote, so they took a walk. And the bill missed passing by 6 votes.
Yeah. They make it sound like, it failed the first time, and everybody sound like it was a really bad bill and a really stupid bill. That was a great bill. Maybe when we thought, chose next to vote.
They took a walk, and you ought to find out who your representatives were that chose to take a walk, and they're more scared of the ACLU than doing what's right, and they ought to get a new job picking teachers or changing tires and get a representative in there, and that's some backbone. It doesn't care what anybody thinks. I'm going to do what's right. That's,
wow. This would be a different world.
That'd be a different world. If congressmen and representatives had that attitude, I'm going to do what's right. We need some statesmen, not politicians. Politics. You know what politics is? Poly means many, and a tick is a blood-sucking animal. So when you get many blood-sucking animals together, that's politics. Okay? Amen. That'll preach, right? Okay. Here we go. This was on page 1 here. Okay. The anti-evolution bill. In March 2001, Representative Jim Holt of Arkansas introduced an anti-evolution bill, HB 2548.
Didn't we just discuss it?
We just did. I'm just pointing out, this is another website that's saying it's an anti-evolution bill. You need to fix this, guys. It's not an anti-evolution bill. It's an anti-lie bill. Okay? We're efforts, Jim Holt invited his good friend, Dr. Kent Hovind, known as Dr. Dino, a young earth creationist from Pensacola, Florida, to help him draft this bill and give testimony to his fellow House members. Holt was later criticized for this in a blistering editorial in the Northwest Arkansas Times because none of the legislators in the House bothered to check on Dr. Dino's wacky, madcap credentials beforehand. Okay. I don't know which website this is from, but they're missing the whole point. Okay, I do have a doctor's degree from an unaccredited university. I've said that many times. And if you don't like it, fine. Call me Kent, call me Bubba, call me Hey You. But the fact that somebody writes a blistering editorial means nothing. There are blistering editorials written about everybody that's ever tried to do anything, good or bad, okay? There are blistering editorials against Ronald Reagan and against Bill Clinton. And against, well, maybe not Bill Clinton. The media loves Bill Clinton. But I'm sure there are blistering editorials. But the fact that there's an editorial written by somebody, that's not proof of anything, okay? You need to wise up, get that off your website. Here we go. From home.comcast, comcast.net/tilde, and then F. Steiger, letter F, and then STEIGER/Kent Hovind. Okay. Hovind, these are sarcastic remarks after attending one of my seminars. Hovind has discovered a cure for cancer. The vitamin B17 deficiency causes cancer just like vitamin C deficiency causes scurvy. Taking B17 plus C will cure your cancer. See canceranswer.com or worldwithoutcancer.com. Well, he meant this to be sarcastic, because I didn't discover a cure for cancer. God told us in Genesis chapter 1, verse 29, eat the fruit, the vegetables, and the seeds. The seeds contain vitamin B17. Your sister, my daughter, has a husband named Paul who was given very serious cancer just a year ago. Took a bunch of vitamin B17 and a whole bunch of other vitamins and chemotherapy, decided to go that way, and is absolutely perfectly fine. He's back up to 220. He's back up to his original weight. 6'2", excellent shape, and he runs our shipping department here, so it works, okay? You can go to apricotsfromgod.com and see many testimonies there of people who've been cured by taking vitamin B17. So, yes, I didn't discover the cure, though. You got this wrong on your website. Here, Hovind says, the whiter the bread, the quicker you're dead, because white bread lacks vitamin E and lecithin. True, I'm guilty. I do say that. Seminar part 2, if you'd like to watch that. It's not that the bread kills you. It's that what you're not getting that kills you. You get heart problems, circulatory problems from lack of vitamin E, lecithin, and omega-3 fatty acids. That is a biological fact. If you run your car low on oil, you will have problems with it. Okay? The main bearings will seize up, the rod bearings will seize up, and pistons will seize to the cylinder walls, and you have all kinds of bad problems you don't want for your engine, I would hope. And if you run your body low on vitamins, different things happen. There are 16 vitamins, 3 oils, and 60 minerals your body needs, just a little bit of every single day. If you don't get them, something goes wrong. He says, sarcastic remark number 3. Adam and Eve are vegetarians, which is one reason why they lived so long, 900 plus years. Guilty. I say that, and I agree. I think there's probably one. I'm not a vegetarian. You don't have to be a vegetarian, but the Bible does say they were vegetarians in Genesis chapter 1, verse 9. Number 4. Sarcastic remark. Ica stones from Peru show clear drawings of dinosaurs indicating that man and dinosaurs lived together. Do we have the Ica stones? We had them the other day. We took them back to the museum. They were in the museum. Okay, they're still in the museum. We have 4 of the Ica stones. Dennis Swift from Beaverton, Oregon, has been to Peru many times and has studied the Ica stones more than anybody I know, and he's coming to speak at our conference. You can contact him. If you have Dennis Swift, it's linked on our website. Dennis Swift. He's in Beaverton, Oregon. He pastors a Nazarene church there. We're working on that. We're going to go back to sports over with, but I talked to him yesterday, as a matter of fact, for quite a while. And he's been having. I'm going to speak at his his Northwest Creation Conference in February. If you live up in the Portland area, come on over to that conference. I'll be there for that. Lord willing. So yes, I agree. I'm guilty. The Ica stones in Peru show dinosaurs and people living together. I'm guilty of that one. Number 4. In ancient literature, they were called dragons. They were actually dinosaurs. The way they killed the dragons and the T-Rex was to pull off their arm and let them bleed to death. He says, I would like to see Kent Hovind try to pull the arm off a T-Rex. I got a misspelling in here, by the way, whoever did this website. Pull the arm of a T-Rex. When I do it in my seminar, I say that the Beowulf story says that he pulled off the arm and the creature bled to death. And then I show a picture of a Babylonian cylinder seal where somebody is pulling the arm off a dragon. It's a Babylonian cylinder seal, probably from 600 B.C. So I'm showing historical facts. The Beowulf story does say that. The Babylonian cylinder seal does show that. That's the big deal. I don't know if that's how they did it or not. I've never done it. But I do simply teach the historical facts about the ancient literature. Number 6. Leviathan mentioned in the Bible is a fire-breathing dragon. I agree. I'm guilty. I teach that seminar quite well. The Green Series teach. Noah's Ark probably had a moon pool in it with 12 anchors to hold it down. Noah was 12 feet tall. Noah's Ark is located in the Durpınar site in Turkey, just asked Brown Wyatt, who has iron rivets from it. I don't recall God telling Noah to use rivets, but they must have been better than the ones on the Titanic. But it's interesting, the Titanic was built by professionals, and the Ark was built by amateurs. I think that one's good. Without a building permit, another thing. Wow. Think about that. Would have taken him 400 years to build it with a building permit. Okay, I'm sorry about that. We cross all that, Martin. Okay, number 8. We should not have public schools. Oh, boy. What I say in the seminar, you got to be careful the way they word things. Kind of like Satan, where you just barely change the way wording it. I'm very careful when I speak on this. I do not say we should not have public schools. I say the question to consider is, should we have public schools? Right? My brother's in his 34th year teaching public school. Are they wrong? Something wrong with you? Great Christian, loves the Lord, love me to the Lord. Big guy, great teacher. Gets all kinds of awards, being the best teacher ever, and everything. My mother taught for years, retired from teaching public school. There are many good teachers. Dan's desk, my great grandfather. He was a public school principal for quite together 16 years. Sometimes he was just teaching, sometimes he was an administrator, but Dan works here, Paul Dan Woods, and our ministry. There are many good godly teachers that love the Lord that work in the public school system. So, but still, I think, and I mentioned in the seminar, from a constitutional perspective, the federal government should not be involved in education whatsoever. No half-legged stuff they're involved in. That's different than saying that we should not have public schools. I just simply said, maybe we should ask the question, should we have public schools? Next time we stop and think about that. Okay, never mind. Darwin has been disproved at DarwinDisproved.com. Let me tell you the story on this one. I went into a seminar, I think it was Philadelphia. I don't remember where. That's big about it. This guy walks up and said, hey, Bill Hovind, have you seen the website DarwinDisproved.com? I said, no. He said, you ought to check it out. It shows, they just found these fossils and it proves that, man and dinosaurs were together and Darwin has been disproved. I said, oh, that's interesting. So that night, I'm speaking in a seminar, a cute question-answer period, I believe it was, came up, and somebody said, what about Darwin? I forget what the question was anyway. And I said, well, I was just handed this note that said there's a new website called DarwinDisproved.com. And is that still in there? I think it still is in there. Darwin, just check that out, Jonathan. See, can you do that? Palestinian Mexicans, because that's Dave Thomas again. There we go. Okay. Good move. Okay. If you're looking for that rascal Ken Hovind click here, this is the New Mexican stuff. Okay. Hot news of the week for December 12th. I'm in there again. They've called on the program or out there. I'll come to New Mexico and debate all the professors with half my brain time behind my back. On 2 conditions. I get half the time, and we talk about one topic at a time. Okay. So, I mentioned that night that somebody like this was just handed this note saying DarwinDisproved.com is a website you should check out. End of story. This started blasting me because the DarwinDisproved.com is a joke website to make fun of creationists. It shows a fossil of a dinosaur just about to bite a human, and they're both fossilized or something, if I recall. I've never seen the site. They just was handing me this note one penny. Probably they did it as a setup so that they could, make another anti-Hovind website. Anyway, so I did mention it. Never mention it again. Mentioned it one time, and they're still on the internet, I would guess 4 or 5 years later, saying that I was taken in by an April Fool's joke. Dave, you're mistaken. I wasn't taken in by the joke. I simply said, I was handed this note. This is a website to go check out. I didn't know this was it. Some 12 years ago on Taco, I don't think you can hear you on my mic there, Jonathan. Yeah, you got a mic right there. Yeah. On the soundboard there. I know, they're so desperate, anything Jesus said, they would use it for years and years, and twist it. Satan even twisted Jesus' words. Okay, breaking about 2 minutes here. We're going to read that one article. I looked over these other ones here.
Hellbound No More is this guy's name. And his question is about the giant sloth that might still be alive in China. He said many people have heard it, and most of us know it. But it's not a break. We'll talk about this right after the giant sloth. Dr. Hovind.com. Hang in there, folks. We'll be back. Folks, welcome back to the Creation Science Hour. This is the final segment of today's show. There's a question about the giant sloth in China. Yeah, giant sloth. Let's see here. Hellbound No More. Right, so I heard about a giant sloth that might still be alive in China. Many people have heard it, and most people smell it. They say they shot it with a high-powered rifle, and they can't bring it down. They can't kill it. A scientist says if they look at an example of its fur, which rocks and other things stuck in its fur, so it makes it bulletproof. Interesting. It is true that sloths get all kinds of stuff in their fur. Sloths apparently are not real bright, okay? And they even turn green sometimes from mold on their fur. They don't shower too often, but they smell like an interesting. As far as the giant sloth, I've never heard of the one in China. I have heard of them in far tip of South America called Patagonia. In fact, when I believe it was even Darwin, when some of the explorers went around to the tip of South America, they stopped in Patagonia, and maybe it wasn't Darwin, somebody of course asked me for that, so I said I believe it, I don't remember, I read it, sure. But some of the explorers stopped there in the 1800s, and the natives had actual giant fur, like capes they would wear in the cold, made out of the giant sloth. And they said, oh, yeah, some of the animals are still alive. They would raise them in caves like they would bears or something, or animals, cows, for their fur. So there are many stories from the 1800s. There are none in this century that I'm aware of. This will be the first one. How about number? If there is any more about it, let me know. I've not heard of that. If you want to AOL us and message us, go to drnolive.com or drnolive, search my name. You go to drnolive.com as our website. Or you can call that, by the way. Phone system is working. Secretaries are in there trying to get Christmas packages ordered and out as quick as possible. But you can start to call in if you like. 850-479-DINO or 877-479-DINO if you're in the U.S. One more thing, we'll go back to the websites. From my side of 1998, my question for you today is, with all the evidence that is out there proving the dinosaurs, dragons, live with man, and may have been used wherever they live in, you even showed the stones that show different kinds of dinosaurs that we know of. Why can't they get past the mental life until we might be wrong? The first question is, why can't the evolutionists say we might be wrong about the dinosaurs? Well, you can't just say, okay, evolution's wrong. Because then you're left with a void. Well, how did we get here? The only other option is somebody created the world. And you can't just start accepting the creation story because that brings along some baggage. See, if the creation story is true, there was a creator. If there's a creator, there might be some rules. That's what they're running from. There might be a God telling them what to do. Second question here is it possible, my second 1980, is it possible that Noah used the dinosaurs and other animals to help build the ark? Possible. Don't know. Dinosaurs, most reptiles are not real bright. It's pretty hard to train a reptile to do much of anything. Okay? They may have had great strength and been able to do something, but how would you train a dinosaur? I don't know. All right. Then, we do have one on our climbing wall, showing dinosaurs building. So that's good. There you go. That's good. Thanks, David. Yeah, they did. Well, that's your question. Then I heard once that the ark was an example of Christ. It would have 3 levels to it, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. And most people overlook that it says that God told Noah to get in the ark, so God was on the ark. And the Lord said, come into the ark. He didn't say go into the ark. And later at the end of the fight, he said, go out of the ark. He was in the ark. The type of Christ, I think that's probably true. There's many typologies in the Bible, but you have to be careful. You can get carried away on that subject and see the typology and everything. Okay, a couple more of the sarcastic comments about Ken Hovind Seminar. I found on home.com, home.com/f/Ken Hovind. One of the nearly 1,000 anti-Hovind websites that we decided to answer a few.
Okay, so he says, Hovind says a hyperbaric chamber can heal you in grave giants like before Noah's flood, where there were 2 times the oxygen and pressure. This is incorrect, okay? I do think hyperbarics have a great healing potential, and with thousands of people involved in hyperbaric treatments right now. Hyperbaric chambers all over the country. There's a big one in Pensacola, Florida. The Navy's used them for years to heal sailors who go down to get skin divers who go down to get the bends. You can go to hyperbaric.com. Jonathan, isn't there a whole list on our website of links about hyperbarics? Yeah, go to drdowner.com, go to the next section. But as far as them making you grow giants like before Noah's flood, this is incorrect. I think we are, I say this in my seminar, I think we are genetically inferior. And if I give you 500 chihuahuas and say, here, I want you to crossbreed these until you get a great band, it's not going to happen. The genes are wrong for business. By the time you get a chihuahua, after all these generations of raising chihuahuas, there's a lot of stuff gone out of the gene pool. Chihuahuas are swimming in the shallow end of the gene pool. They spend all that time to produce a dog that is 100% useless. So I call you Chihuahua. Not too bad, but that's okay. They're good. Our Canadian is the best. Mickey. Mickey. Very kind. And when Mickey, you could already tell what kind of dog he was. So when he died, Eric had the brilliant idea that my wife rejected. You know, I wanted to stop him. He was our dog for 13 years. I thought, why in the world are we going to throw away a perfectly good dog? How many years here? Exactly. It's also part of our life. Couldn't talk mom into it. And my daughter is so beautiful. Just couldn't, I understand it. We could read that. John's good. I could let him down. John can make an Islamic film. We have, I've been bought. That's happened. Okay, so I do not say that hyperbaric chambers would grow giants. I don't say that. Now, you might want to get hold of Carl Baugh, who's coming to speak at our Southeast Creation Conference. He has several hyperbaric chambers. He knows a great deal about it. He raised fruit flies in his hyperbaric chamber, and they live 10 times longer than normal. Now, I live a long time. Fruit flies on the real line. Baugh's website is creationevidence.org. Creationevidence.org. So, you get that right? Okay. So I do not say that hyperbaric chambers will make a person grow to be a giant. Whoever wrote this website, you're either mistaken or you're lying, okay? He says, this was confirmed by scientists who studied air bubbles in amber. I do cover that. Time Magazine, November 9, 1987, page 82, has an article about air bubbles in amber contain 30% more oxygen than we have today. That's what I say in my seminar. And I say, I think the pre-flood world probably had greater oxygen concentration and greater air pressure. I do say that. I do believe that. And I say in my seminar, it's a sarcastic remark here, Dr. Mori in Japan grew a tomato plant 40 feet high, yielding 15,000 tomatoes. That is correct. I do say that, and it is true. A football player, this is from Cleveland K. I saw Terrell Owens, who's a football player for the 49ers. He said that he uses a hyperbaric chamber to help him with many teams have a hyperbaric chamber. Right, because they get faster. Simple biological fact. Number 11, sarcastic comment. The King James Version is the only reliable translation. The King James translates the first day in Genesis 1 and like one day or day one. Hovind needs to look at the Hebrew. The cardinal number 1 is used as opposed to the ordinal number first, as in the rest of the chapter. There is no definite article in the Hebrew. The point I'll say in my seminar is the King James translators said the first day, and they got it right. In Hebrew, it's actually day 1, day 2, day 3. And some of the newer translations have changed it to say one day instead of day 1. There's a vast difference between one day and day 1. Yeah. It's incredible difference. Think about it. So yes, the King James, I believe, is the only reliable translation. I wouldn't trust any other translation. I would never defend one of the debate. There are serious flaws in the other translations. However, it took me 35 years to get to this point. So I'm patient with people who are, using other translations. I did for years. I have a whole shelf of them. And I'm sitting here in a whole shelf over there. Here's a whole shelf right here of different Bible translations. So here's a blank up there. My revised substandard version is there. Not that you guys out there can see it. So I use them down. You do something about with the camera. Anyway, so you can see it. You do it on the radio, but you didn't see it. Put your ear on the radio. Yes, I have slowly come to the position, after much study on the topic, that the King James is God's preserved word in English. But if you're not in that position yet, keep studying, you'll get there. Okay. Number 12, warning, Satan may be driving around in a UFO. Okay, this was a frequently asked question in a seminar. Somebody said, what do you think about UFOs? I gave 4 different books by, let's see, they're here someplace, I can find it. 40 shelves of books here. I mentioned that Stan Dale wrote a book on UFO, and Stan Dale has been on our show many times. And many people have written books about UFO, and they say there are several conclusions. One is they're top-secret government experiments. Nobody knows about it yet. 2 is, the most obvious one is they're misidentified as weather balloon or swamp gas or too much vodka the night before or whatever. 3 is that they're demonic. And I just say, I don't know what they are. These are the theories. If they're demonic, then it could be demons or Satan is using this as a means of transportation because they can't be more than one place at a time, whereas God is all places at all times. So, I do not say the devil drives a UFO. I do say I don't know what they are, and these are the theories. That's what the way it's supposed to work. Okay, we're not going to get all through. Well, I'll just do a few more. 4 minutes already. Number 4, regimental dating is wrong because moon rocks have different dates, and I cover all this. I agree with you. The dating is wildly wrong. So I say my part 7. Light is slowing down. So much for E equals mc squared. He writes in here, there is no scientific evidence to support this contention. See creation of speed of light, or dot number, or whatever. But there is plenty to support the speed of light. Matter of fact, there's a book. You probably would know what it looks like. By, what's his name? This came out recently. About there, new level, something like that. The speed of light. On this end of the shelf, down to the lower, I think. Down to the lower. Yes, there is much evidence that the speed of light is changing and has changed over history. And there's a Discover magazine, when was it? April 2002. It's September 2003. Yeah. An article about what's an extent wrong for Discover magazine in September 2003, I believe. Or we covered it on Seminar Part 7 about that series. Okay, he says, you know, we have to learn right now. Faster than the speed of light, book came out. Of course, the guy gets off the side saying this can't be true. But there's much evidence that the speed of light is not a constant. Thank you, John. Okay, number 15. There was no continental drift, no Pangea. You're confusing this, so I agree there was no Pangea. As far as continental drift, I don't think there's any question the continents are moving, but does that prove they've been moving for millions of years? Is what I said in Seminar Part 6. He says, number 16, we only use 10% of our brains. This is probably true about Hovind. I said in my seminar that Einstein said we probably use 10% of our brains. I was quoting Albert Einstein, and that is what he said. We probably use 10% of our brains. And it's probably true. And I use much less. I have students use much less than that. Much less. Number 17, dinosaurs are alive and well on planet Earth. Someone saw a yellow dinosaur with a beard. There are many reports of pterodactyls flying around Papua New Guinea. They glow in the dark. Yes, I wrote glow in the dark. Just ask Carl Baum, who has been there. True, by the way. The natives report the creature has bioluminescence or probably something other than its fur or skin. If it hangs in caves all day, it flies out of night or something like that makes it glow. There's a slight glow to it. A fisherman caught a small dinosaur in Lake Erie near Ohio. It's now in the Carl Baum Museum on display. This is not correct. It's never been on display. Carl Baum bought it from the guy who found it on the beach of Lake Erie and has tried to get it analyzed. This is real expensive to do DNA testing, so it's been here sitting in this museum warehouse. But it's never been on display, so you need to correct your website. We don't know what it is. It's just an interesting creature found on the beach of Lake Erie. Hovind showed many pictures of dozens of dinosaurs. So I thought I ought to find dozens of dinosaurs in the Delaware River. Let's go have a look. Okay. I recommend anyone who wants a good laugh to go to this site. Sadly, most people are taking this as gospel true. Then he's got one more here I need to get on the Trail of Tears. He's quoting my seminar here. The Trail of Tears is where the Cherokee Indians were driven out of Chattanooga area all the way to Oklahoma. 1/3 of the entire nation died en route. All true. Evolution is responsible for what happened to the Indians. How can any Indian believe in evolution? This blows my mind, Hovind says. The evolution theory is what destroyed them. And Dr. Forrest writes, this is an interesting piece of information, especially since the Trail of Tears occurred in 1830, and Darwin's Origin of Species was not published in 1859, Dr. Forrest writes. But Dr. Forrest, the organization, the evolution theory is out way before Darwin. Darwin just made it popular, and it is true that what happened to the Indians is a result of the belief that they were inferior species. It was the evolution theory. Charles Darwin's grandfather, Erasmus Darwin, wrote about evolution, wrote a poem about it, and Darwin copied most of his stuff and never gave grandpa any credit at all. So, yes, the Indians evolution is responsible largely for that. The Indians, 2.5 to 7.5 about that.